House here, spreading that good word about affiliate marketing. And I'm hanging out and nerding out with my friend Laura Press today on Affiliate Nerd Out. Welcome to the conversation, Laura.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Today we'll be going through some things about PXA. Uh, Laura works for Impact, and we having some live Q&A. So anybody that wants to drop any kind of question for us, drop it in the chat box. And I want to hear about you, Laura. Tell me, who are you?
Yeah. So, again, I'm Laura Press, and I've been in the affiliate industry since 2010. Started at CJ on the advertiser side for a couple years, moved over to the publisher side, and that's where I spent a majority of my career. I also had a short stint on the advertiser side, back to the publisher, went to a sub network for about a year and a half, and have found a home at impact.com last July. So I'm coming up on my 1 year. And the Partnerships Experience Academy is a product of impact.com.
Fantastic. And tell me about your background leading up to that. What essentially qualified you to get into the PXA and start training folks?
Yeah. So when one of the publisher sites I was at Deal Moon for about 5.5 years, heading up their beauty division. And it seemed like whenever we had a new hire, I was the one that would facilitate a lot of the training about affiliate marketing. And one of the things I just loved about doing that training is seeing people like light up when they kind of put two and two together. And that kind of carried through with me when I moved on to working at a sub network for a year and a half. They were really starting to dabble in the e-commerce space and
Mm-hmm.
had no experience with affiliate. So I was that go-to person to
Mm-hmm.
help them understand the different sides of the business, what brands and advertisers are looking for, what various niches of publishers are there, and then how everyone works with these different networks. So when the job came up for PXA, I wasn't looking for anything, but I was, as someone who's always sharing jobs within the space, I read through the description and I was just like, wow, this is exactly what I would love to do. I know one of the goals I had, um, leading up to this role was to be more vocal within the industry. I really wanted to get out there to conferences, be a speaker, be seen and recognized as an industry expert. So I did what I had to do, put my hat in the ring, and here I am.
You made it happen, and your counterpart. So you're on the publication side, right? And your counterpart is Cody, who's on the merchant side of things, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
So there are two heads of affiliate and partnership education for PXA. We call ourselves Hopes. Um, and I focus on courses for publishers.
great.
And Cody, who has the exact same role as me, focuses on courses for brands and agencies. We just aligned up our experience and kind of split it out that way.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, we already got a comment here from a Wade. I've heard of this Wade character
I've heard
before.
of him too. Yeah.
Wade, love what you're doing at PSC. Great. Thanks, Wade. Appreciate the input. Appreciate you being here. Wade will be a guest here soon. So I'm glad he's been a listener. Uh, all right. So over at PXA Impact.com, this was an absolutely incredible move by Impact. I think, like leading the front for affiliate and marketing education altogether
Mm-hmm.
for a network, and everybody's fallen behind in this. Impact has put so much. Um, uh, Utilizing the potential of the gap that is in the education system, and you guys are filling that impressively, and it's been just a few short years since you guys have been around, and this course has come a long way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, PXA started, it's been around for maybe 2 years, but a lot of the coursework hasn't been out as long. And in regards to the publisher curriculum, all of that is brand new. We had our first certification come out in December with digital partnerships. And or at the very beginning of this month, we unveiled our associate level certification for publishers. And we've been slowly launching our expert level courses for publishers. And all of those will be rolled out before IPX next month.
Great. I mean, there are literally 1,000 courses out there for bloggers trying to teach how to blog, which are all great in their own aspect, but it's really hard to figure out which ones you can trust and who is out there just trying to make money and who's out there actually trying to educate the folks. And I've created a list before on the publication side, but you guys are new to that list since you guys have really jumped in and dove into this part of the equation. Looks like Kristen Evans is joining us too. Kristen Big Time Evans will be my guest next week. She's heard of Wade as well. And so tell me more about what's on the horizon here. Like PXA is doing great things. Who is the real audience that you guys are trying to serve?
So we're really trying to serve everyone between brands, agencies, publishers, and then just people who are interested in learning about the space. It's a very niche space to be in, and the education isn't readily available, at least for free, for people that want to learn more. And one of the really amazing things that we're doing is for our industry specific courses, we do aim to be platform agnostic. So we do take a look at all the other networks out there, showing how they benefit the different sides of the business. And I think coming from a network, that's a huge step, because we want to provide this education that can be used by everyone, not just impact clients, but clients of AWIN or Rakuten, CJ, Partnerize, all the folks out there. And hopefully this knowledge share will help transpire and more people can learn more about this industry.
Absolutely. And you guys are in it for the greater good of affiliate marketing in general. We're continuing to grow that, $17 billion industry at this point for, and that number just escalates every single year with constant growth. And you guys are helping the industry get there faster, which is fantastic. So you're essentially serving both sides of the equation, both the merchants and the publishers out there, and agencies as well, like fall under this. I know there are a lot of people send their agency representatives to get certified through the PXA, right?
Yeah. And I think when it comes to agency certifications, we have a separate learning path specifically for them. And Cody helps lead the way on that. It's really important for anyone that's getting started, at least on an agency, they have the foundations of what goes into this industry, how can they better serve their clients, and at the same time, how can they better partner with publishers to serve those clients.
Fantastic. Yeah. And is agency, it's almost like a spin-off, what do you want to call it, channel for within PXA? Do you have your own agency, like academy portion out?
So we have 3 learning paths.
Okay, learning path. Thank you.
The partner learning path, which is for publishers. That's where you see this lovely face. And then we also have the brand learning path and agency learning path. And that's where you'll recognize Cody. But the courses are specific to those different personas.
Fantastic. All right. Smart. Let's talk about something, a hot topic in the industry going on right now. And that is one of industry layoffs seem to be happening at companies all throughout our industry. Even Impact has gone through their own range of them, but have turned it around and started hiring again. I think this industry in itself is pretty, circular. Things come back around. Just depends on where you're focusing your time and efforts. But what does this mean in your opinion? Like, what's the big reason behind these layoffs that you're seeing?
I think, there could be several factors. Um, I know there's been, and we'll get into a topic later about, AI and how
Mhm.
that's impacting, some of the business. But I think we're still kind of trudging through the weeds of a potential recession. Um,
Hmm.
we had the collapse of SVB a couple months ago. So there's still a lot of question marks out there, and the consumer shopping habits are constantly changing as well.
Mhm.
We've seen a shift of consumers, cutting back on certain spending habits, whereas, maybe they're now more inclined to experience in-store shopping versus online because they want to get back into that pre-pandemic vibe. So I think there's several different factors, but what we're doing here at PXA is trying to be that resource for anyone that is impacted by a company layoff. We want to help, boost their confidence, let them sharpen their skills, level up, and continue to feel good about what they've done so far in their career, and at the same time provide resources, job postings, working with companies that are hiring, and just sharing all of that knowledge for them.
For sure, and that's the great thing about taking online courses is not only the certification to make you look a little better on paper through a resume or everything, but I think one of the biggest benefits is the way you articulate yourself throughout a job interview and
Mhm.
knowing the industry and learning from folks that have that veteran status in this industry is huge. And I love the way you guys are constantly bringing on other industry vets into your course and having them teach the things that they're good at. I've seen Brookshoff and
Mhm.
George Yuba jump in and teach courses on your side. And yeah, where are you guys getting this giant pool of talent? I mean, it just seems to keep coming throughout your guys' organization.
Yeah, so I mean, we are always looking for industry veterans that want to maybe work on their own career path.
Okay.
So one of my things I said earlier was I wanted to be more vocal in the industry and go to conferences and be a speaker. For anyone that wants to level up their skill set and maybe boost their own confidence, you know, it's it's not too hard to, help out on one of these courses that we're doing.
Mhm.
So, you know, this is a very small industry, and we love working with good people.
Cool.
Uh, so if anyone is interested in, helping out on a course, we'll we'll be happy to work with you on that. And there's so many opportunities to get involved.
Fantastic. And so talking on the upskill, that all makes sense. What career guidance are you guys offering throughout this the course or whatever like the certification portion of this? Where does a career guidance fall into place here?
Yeah, so we take a look at various job positions within the affiliate and partnership space, seeing what sort of skill set is needed to be an account manager or an account director, anything in between. And that's where we match up our fundamentals, associate, and expert level certifications to be on par with what those job descriptions are, looking for in candidates.
Hmm. I think when you're out there looking for jobs in this industry and reading the descriptions, it can get kind of repetitive.
Mhm.
Every job out there is always looking for organized people, um, or people that have X amount of years of experience in partnership development, right? But what are those things that really stick out? Like, do you guys do any kind of help with like resume development, or is that maybe a next level thing that's coming through the PXA?
So we don't really do resume development. Our courses are a great asset to someone's resume.
Okay,
However, in relation to that, Cody and I both will hold office hours. So
great.
anyone that is, maybe struggling with something career-wise, we are more than happy to have a 15-minute conversation to hear what that challenge is and provide our guidance to help them overcome it.
Yeah, and those office hours are so clutch when you have a course. I have office hours in my course that where I'm, we're basically teaching many of the same skill sets with both of our courses. I charge for it. You guys are free, but that's a different subject. But
Yeah.
but those office hours, sometimes people take advantage of them. This is a free hour of my advice and your advice of things that are going on in the industry to help, and you can toss out the questions you have, any hurdles you have. Sometimes I get one person that shows up and they get basically an hour of consulting with me. And sometimes I'll get 10 people show up and I've got to spread the love out a little bit. But that can be a difficult office hours. Like, I don't understand why people don't jump in more often into those things.
Yeah, and I think what's really unique about our office hours is that we don't have a set time. So we'll send out our Calendly link and someone can take a look to see what I have available on a Friday. And then they can just mark off, that 15-minute block that they want. And then I am all theirs for 15 minutes. There are a lot of learners that take PXA courses that are on the other side of the world. And unfortunately, they can't do those office hours, but they'll send me an email, explain what their challenge is, and they're still getting that one-on-one communication.
That's beautiful. Awesome. All right, so switching gears a little bit, we're going into some of the news today. I like to tackle something. One super popular topic that has been coming up is AI, and you brought it up a little bit earlier about your thoughts on what AI means to this industry and where do you think it's going?
Yeah, so I think one of the crazy things about AI, especially with ChatGPT, is the amount of content creation that it produces. And I think there's a lot of really interesting tools out there to help readers maybe identify what content they're consuming is real versus AI generated. But at the same time, there are challenges to where we don't want those jobs to be taken away because of this technology that has been created. I think people are still going to yearn for that human connection and just the authenticity of, a review or opinion of something. So, but I think there's so much more that's going into AI. Now there's, voice generated AI. As working for Impact, we're still trying to fine tune those hurdles and how we interact with AI with our business. But I think for someone that has, my voice and courses that are out on the internet, one of my questions is, how am I going to have my content that I'm producing safeguarded and protected? The last thing I want is someone to take what I've done or what Cody's done and turn that into something that it's not intended to be used for.
For sure. And I think there's a couple of ways to approach what AI is doing, right? The first off is you can reject it and just say, there's a human aspect to this and I don't want anything to do with my program or in the affiliate industry. That's one way to handle it. Another is to embrace it and accept the fact that in 5 years, a lot of jobs are going to go away because AI is just going to continue to get better. And I better get better with it and accept that it's just going to be part of life here. So what is the stance for the PXA and what you're teaching when a publisher comes to you and says, hey, should I be using ChatGPT for my content? What do you tell them?
So I haven't had that situation yet, but for anyone listening and is thinking that question, I think it really comes down to, how do you want your audience to perceive you? I think there's certain aspects in your role where you can get away with some of that automated technology,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, you have your audience is coming to you for a specific reason. They trust what you've built so far, and it's important to not stray too far from that.
For sure. Yeah, don't burn those bridges of trust that you have built up throughout the years with whatever you're doing with,
Right.
you know, generating content that doesn't read like English. Uh, that's going to hurt your brand altogether. So be wary of it. That's a good point. Like a lot of what I don't talk to a lot of publishers in the sense that besides, teaching them how to monetize the content they
Mhm.
have, but the content that they're going to create, it behooves me as an affiliate manager to get that content up as quick as possible. And
Right.
there's a couple of steps that I preach. I'm like, hey, go build it with Content AI, go optimize it with Surfer SEO,
Mhm.
and make sure that uh, you check it with some kind of checker that uh, authenticates that this is a real human and not content generated by AI.
Right.
Because ultimately, Google is going to penalize that. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, but it will. That
Mhm.
is almost guaranteed that it will start to penalize pieces of content that are generated like that. So do those things and just embrace it is what I like to say.
Yeah, embrace it. Just don't stray too far from what you've been doing, so far.
Absolutely. All right, and switching gears again, I know you love conferences. You like to get out there.
Yep, I've been
Um,
with you.
yeah, yeah, me too. I really enjoy the networking of them all. But uh, when we talk about conferences, some people just kind of go there without a real purpose, and you're missing out on a lot of opportunity if you're not utilizing all the things that a conference actually brings to the table. So, what do you like to teach folks that are going to conferences? What do you think they should be focusing on?
Yeah, so one of the really amazing things about the role I'm in now is when I do go to conferences, I'm able to attend the various sessions and
Mhm.
take back as learnings the things that are being discussed. When
Great.
I was in previous roles, I would maybe catch a keynote, but other than that, it was back to back to back meetings. You want to just make the most of the
Mhm.
time to be face to face with the brands and partners that you're working with. But I think there's a missing component when you have that sort of mindset, because while it is great to have FaceTime with your partners, it's also great to see what's going on in the industry. What are some of the challenges that like minded affiliates are facing?
Mhm.
And what are some of the trends that are being uncovered with the future of affiliate? And so having that time to really absorb that information can make you a better partner. Some of the things that I like doing at conferences now is exactly that. Thinking about what are the trends right now, what are the problems, what are the potential solutions, and what we're hoping to do is start getting into more of a education and career guidance at some of these conferences too.
Hmm.
There's so much content that goes into just building better partnerships and businesses, but on the other side of the spectrum, it's how do you grow as an individual? So we're looking to kind of tackle that challenge.
Okay, awesome. Uh, I'm in a position in my career where I'm not going to very many speaking sessions, but I will use it as an excuse to get out of conversations sometimes. like, oh, it's time for the session I'm going to go to and make my way. But I am just so hyper focused on networking at conferences and seeing old friends and meeting new friends. I like to, every conference I go to, I like to meet 10 new acquaintances that I've got, and turn an old acquaintance into a new best friend in the industry. And um, I have a bunch of sessions to go to in my schedule, but it is just so rare that I actually get the time to go and do that because I'm busy and I value the time that I'm spending with the face to face with these industry friends and acquaintances. But um, if you don't get there, if you don't get to the sessions, make and you absolutely have to go to one of them. Make sure it's recorded because you
Yeah.
might just miss out on that whole opportunity. But if you don't start, uh, if you stop learning, you're gonna die in this industry. So
Mhm.
I know the importance of it. I watch enough webinars to keep up to date with everything and watch recordings, but man, it can be hard at conferences.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges of just getting back out there at these conferences is coming off of this 2-year like hiatus of
Mhm.
not going anywhere. We've seen the news where people don't know how to act on airplanes. And I just happened to be at a conference last month where someone, I don't know who this person was, but they weren't the best representation of themselves.
Okay.
So I just put out a course that launched yesterday
Oh,
for publishers about Discover and Recruit with Sarah Wilson from Wirecutter.
okay.
And one of the learning modules of that course is about conferences, how to make the most of attending these events. Um,
Hmm.
as a best practice when I was on the publisher side is take advantage of the app that the conference has. It's so helpful so you know where different meeting places are, where sessions are going to be, where coffee stations are. And they also allow you to book those 15-minute meetings with various partners. However, my one caveat is that I don't want to do 15-minute meetings.
Hmm.
They're just not productive. It's never enough time.
Okay.
So in the course, I do recommend trying to set 30-minute meetings. That gives a grace for anyone that might be running over from a previous meeting. It also allows a buffer for introductions and icebreakers to
Yes.
get out of the way.
So important.
Because one of the great things about this industry is having that personal connection with someone. I love running into people that I've met throughout the years. Say, hey, how are your kids doing? Or I saw you just got a puppy. Like, just catching up and having that human interaction really makes these partnerships special. And it does help the overall business too.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't recommend a 15-minute meeting. Go for 30 minutes. And then when you attend conferences, you're attending as a representation of a business.
Mhm.
Um, so I happen to be moderating a panel about coupons and cashback sites. And during that session, we were using Slido for our Q&A.
Okay.
And someone within the audience decided to kind of release their personal vendettas against one of the publishers that was on my panel.
Okay.
And it was distracting, it was disrespectful and inappropriate, and that wasn't the time and place to share those grievances. um, Again, when you attend conferences, you're attending as a business professional, not as a consumer for a specific brand or publisher. So it's like
That's wild.
it amazes me that like I even have to say something like that. um but I don't know if it's because people need to reset their minds as to how to interact. Um, but overall, that was just a one-time instance. Everything else of that conference was, just beautiful.
Well, people get heated, especially
Mhm.
in the moment. Uh, but the fact that it was on an app, like you had a decision to make to push like send on that, and you had the
Exactly.
opportunity to not stand up and make a fool of yourself. And that interaction, everybody that was in that room is going to see you in that light forever. Like that's not
Right.
something you can take away. And how you act at a conference is going to come back and bite you in the butt
Right.
years
It's a
later.
small industry.
Very small
And the
industry.
last thing you want to do is burn bridges. I
Hmm.
mean, I consider this industry to be very incestuous. I mean, just look at my career. I've been at CJ, I've been at shop.com, Deal Moon, Shopper Media, now I'm
Sure.
at Impact. I've I've been on all sides of the business, and a lot of other folks have kind of gone full circle as well. So you remember people, you remember who was kind to you, who helped you, bring in, new revenue. And you also remember someone who did something that was distasteful or they were rude. So it's a small industry, and
Yeah.
you don't want to burn bridges.
We've got to kill the incestuous part of this equation. Like we have to kill that, just like Impact has been pushing the it's not affiliates, like partnership.
Yep.
Or performance, right? Let's make up something new besides incestuous. Like let's get that word out of this equation altogether in the future. We'll come up with something together.
Yeah, and I think with affiliate now, bringing on so many other online channels,
yes,
that it's no longer going to be incestuous, because it's now, we have influencers, social media marketing, PR has come in. There's so many other realms that are coming into what was once its own silo.
Yeah. Well, incredible that you actually created a course around conferences. That's something that absolutely needed in this industry. Not everybody can be a social butterfly or know how to interact. Maybe they didn't, develop those skill sets growing up or in the career, and could use some help in that industry. So that is a very great add-on to your guys' course. To find that at pxa.impact.com. If you have not signed up for the PXA and started going through their courses, you've got to do it. If you want to get anywhere in this industry, you need to continue to learn on what you're doing. One of the toughest challenges I think I have as a course creator is people that get into the affiliate management space and are there for 2 or 3 years or something. They think they know everything. It is a weird dynamic, and I don't know what you call that necessarily, but it is something that I've seen on a consistent basis, and I never had that. Like when I was in that point in my career, maybe I did, but I can't remember if I did or not back then. It's been so long ago at this point, but I don't understand it. Like, can you shed some light on that? Do you see that on a consistent basis as well?
I think when someone is in a role for, a certain amount of time, they want to become an expert in that role. But on the flip side, they might know what they think is everything of that role, but it's just one part of the pie. It doesn't make up the other channels. And I think people might build up their ego a bit too much. But once it comes time to prove what you say and if you don't deliver, then people are going to see right through you.
Great point. Speaking of too big for their ego, Kristen Big Time Evans says, always be helpful, not hurtful in a relationship, business focus. Absolutely, Kristen. Thank you for that. I appreciate you interacting here. I will take the big time off your status. This a long-standing joke with me and her, so apologize, Laura, for bringing you into it. And then we've got another question. I don't know a thing. Everything I learned is from PXA. Whoa, hey, that's pretty high praise. Very nice.
Yeah, and that's from Zoran, who I actually met in England last month at Affiliate Huddle. And I mean, he can even attest to just the one-on-one communication that I've been working with him to help him understand, different learning paths and, questions he has about our app that we unveiled a few weeks ago. So, we really take pride in being an advocate for other learners in the space. So we're so happy to, be a resource for them.
Fantastic. That's the power of conferences. We get to make those face-to-face. Zoom is great, but it's limited, right? And
Right.
that face to face, having that drink and getting to know the people on a personal level, it benefits you years and years down the line. So make sure you're getting into that. Laura, I want to thank you for coming and nerding out with me today. Appreciate your
Yeah, this
time.
was fun. And I'm so
Awesome.
happy that there were no chipmunks on my front porch that would make my dog go crazy during this time.
No chipmunk breaks. That's fantastic. All right. You can find Laura at the pxa.impact.com. Go there for your training, get certified with them. Please join me on my next show next week. I'll have Kristen Big Time Evans here, and we're going to get to nerd out. She's one of my favorite people in this industry, and I'm always giving her a hard time. So it'll be a lot of fun. And if you would like to join me and be my next guest, go to dustinhouse.com/nerd or go over to this. How do I point? There it is. It's almost, I'm close. Be my guest. Use that QR code and come hang out with me. Fantastic. Appreciate your time. For those of you out there wanting to learn more about affiliate marketing, watch future episodes of Affiliate Nerding Out. And happy recruiting out there. I never know how to close. How should I close, Laura? I don't know how to close this episode.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dustin House. That's Laura Press. See you out there.